to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Bro Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. I'm gonna start the show off a little bit with a heavy heart today. I want to share a name with you that you may or may not have heard of, and it is the name of 28-year-old Demetria Bannister. Demetria Bannister is a third grade teacher in South Carolina. Now, I know this is Indiana politics, but I want you to understand 28-year-old Demetria Bannister was a third grade school teacher in South Carolina. Well, I should say she was a third grade teacher in South Carolina. See, unfortunately, 2 weeks into the school year, while she was while they had in-person classes, Demetria was diagnosed with COVID, and 3 days later, she passed away. And I know, like I said, this is South Carolina, but we have been warning people for a very long time about opening up too soon, having people congregate together without proper testing, without proper protective gear, without all the things that we need to make sure that humans are safe. And now we have just lost a teacher. And may I add, an African-American woman. We know that our public school systems are in dire need of full representation. And here we just lost one. And my heart is heavy, not because I didn't believe that Donald Trump was lying to us the whole time. The news comes out at the same time we actually hear the tapes of him misleading and misrepresenting the seriousness of COVID-19. Now, as you always know, I try to keep things Indiana focused, so I'm going to bring it back in. Do you remember when Representative Jim Banks said, excuse me, I'm going to introduce some legislation that if you don't open these schools up 100%, I'm going to try to see if we can cut the funding to these public schools. Y'all need to be in school. Do you remember when Senator Mike Braun said, why don't we just take a risk? Take a risk. I'm not really understanding how we are okay and acceptable of the idea that the level of risk that they are asking us to take is literally our lives. It's not hyperbole. I'm not being overly dramatic. A 28-year-old school teacher is dead because we don't want to pay attention to Dr. Fauci. We got to open up the economy. We got to do everything we can, but protect human lives. Senator Bray sent a letter out to Indiana school districts and said, if you don't open up, you're going to lose 15% of your funding, with his mafia-style letter, threatening people, trying to make them decide what is more important. The health and safety of our teachers and staff and administrators and workers and our family members at home, or opening the school back up. I've already talked about ad nauseum Governor Holcomb coming out with his mask ordinance, and then as soon as Vice President Mike Pence shows up in the state of Indiana, he rescinds it and it becomes optional. And now he's talking about opening up bars because we see how well young people are doing on college campuses. And the entire Indiana GOP is refusing refusing to discuss and negotiate no absentee balloting with our party. But you know what they did? They've been sending out absentee ballot applications. If you're not down with people voting absentee ballot, why are you sending out ballots? Why would you even spend that? See, we already know what they value. How you spend your money is what you value. But you want to tell the public you don't want us to vote absentee, no excuse absentee, but you're sending out ballots? Applications? Applications. The hypocrisy that is coming from the other side, the silence that is coming from the other side is life-threatening. It is no longer a joke. We have over 191,000 Americans dead, over 3,300 Hoosiers dead because the leaders of our state, the elected officials, because those guys are not leaders, the elected officials in our state decided that they were going to ignore science and listen to an orange snake oil salesman. This is where we are, America. This is where we are, Indiana. This is no longer a joke. I'm not even going to mention, the manipulation of data and the security information so that it matches a rosy picture for the president, the whistleblower. We're not even going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how Governor Holcomb was holding back for a long time the stats in our nursing homes and what was really going on. If by now you are still undecided about, how we want our nation and our state to go, I don't know what else to tell you. The man said, I tried to play it down because I don't want to scare people. But every 15 minutes, he's telling suburban America, you need to be scared of these low-income people coming into your neighborhoods. Be scared. Be scared of the black and brown people coming into your neighborhoods. Be scared. I'm going to send the troops in because you need to be scared. But now he doesn't want to disclose the truth about a deadly virus that was a pandemic because he didn't want to scare people. How many more lies are people going to listen to? You know what they value because the wealthy has increased their wealth during this pandemic. It has gotten ridiculous, people. And because I love my two candidates today, I am actually going to keep my comments just like that. Now, if you really want to know what I think and feel, give me a holler and I'll tell you. But I'm trying to make sure that I don't say or do anything that is going to hurt these amazing candidates and the districts that they are running in, because I know that people, if you're listening to the Orange Menace, the same folk will have a hard time distinguishing the black chick from the amazing young Asian man and the white man. They're going to get them all confused. They're going to think, because I said it, one of them said it. So I'm going to be careful today. But please understand, the crisis that we are in is real. If you don't register to vote and you don't take your behinds to the polls, request your absentee ballot, early vote, make the changes that we need, it's only going to get worse. And that's my rant for today. Rest in peace, rest in heaven, rest in power. 28-year-old third grade school teacher, Demetria Bannister. Thank you for being a mind molder and giving your life for American children. Y'all, I'm excited. I know the two guests that I have on today, well, first of all, y'all have met Chris before because Representative Chyung has been on the show before. And if you don't have your thinking caps on, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Go get it and come back. Because the level of intelligence that this young man is bringing about what we need to do in the state of Indiana is phenomenal. He's one of my favorite people. When I met him, I was blown away, and I realized I probably should go back to school for another 12 years so I can at least catch up, right? Y'all give it up for my man all the way from Northern Indiana, representing House District 15, Representative Chris Chyung. Chris, welcome to Turn Left, sir. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Dana. It's good to hear from you again, and thank you for that. Such a generous introduction. You're way overselling me for sure. So I'm just happy to be back and talk to you again.
I love it. And a new one to the fold, but he's been around a long time, holding it down in Vanderburgh and Posey County. Y'all give it up for Democrat extraordinaire, solid, fun, great personality, and understands how to negotiate. Y'all give it up for candidate Stephen Folz, representing District 76. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate being here for my first time, and I've enjoyed talking with you before when you come down to Southwest Indiana, and you're always welcome down here.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate being here.
And for my listeners, because I always try to help out candidates best way I can. If these gentlemen say anything you like, I have included their donation button in the information, so you don't have to go find it. You can just click on it, and you can donate to Chris, and you can donate to Stephen. We're turning Turn Left into an hour-long fundraiser for all of our Democratic candidates. That's what we do. First off, Stephen, since you are the first one, you're kind of new to the scene. Go on and tell the people who you are and where you come from.
All right. I'm Steve Folz. I'm running for Indiana House District 76. I've lived in Southwest Indiana all my life. I've worked in the construction industry for 42 years. I was raised in a home with simple values and hard work. For over 25 years, I have spent my career helping working families to improve wages, healthcare, pension, and safe working conditions. I support properly funding public schools so our children have a safe environment where they can focus on their education and not worry about becoming ill from a virus or injured from violence. We need well-compensated teachers, so our public schools should not be a training ground for a private voucher or charter schools. My life experiences have taught me solid problem-solving skills and how to overcome obstacles leading to success personally and in business. It is time for reconstruction. As we move into the 21st century, let me be your voice in Indiana State Legislator for Indiana House District 76. Thank you.
I ain't mad for your prepared statement, but look, please know.
A summary.
Listen, we're going to have a conversation, all right? We're going to have a conversation. Right. So you said you're a union man, huh?
Yes, I belong to the Laborers International Union of North America for 43 years now. I retired a year ago, and with my retirement, my goal now is to fish occasionally. My hobby is I love woodworking. I have a little wood shop out in my garage. We cut trees down, we mill them, stack the wood to dry, and then go back and I build furniture.
That's what's up. That's pretty cool.
Since coronavirus started, I've built 2 baby cradles. I've got 2 new great grandbabies.
Congratulations.
So I built them each a baby cradle out of a tree we cut down. It's pecan. And I've completed a bedroom suit that I started 2 years ago. So I have found a lot of time during this coronavirus. And not to mention, I've got a grandson here that he is learning woodworking now. And He is really interested in it. He made his own baseboard for his bedroom out of oak and rough oak, and he did a real good job. He's learning as we go. So he has been in school since school cut off back last fall or last spring.
That's how you utilize some time. But you know what? What was it that said I am going to run for office? Was this something that you had always been thinking about?
Yes, it is. My motivating factor, which among everything, but honestly, I believe all of my factors that I'm running are related. We need better paying jobs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My opponent thinks that $15 an hour is too much for working people. She had told me in my driveway that the people that I represented that was building our highways, roads, and bridges made too much money because they didn't have a degree from a college. Apparently, apprenticeship programs don't account for anything that she would put a value on. And that was one of my motivating factors. But drug abuse, child abuse. I ran 2 years ago, and we were within 3% in Vanderburgh County of going over the finish line. But when I did my research 2 years ago, I found that in 2017, Indiana was ranked 14th for highest drug addiction. We were 14th in the country for drug addiction. In 2018, we were rated 7th for drug addiction. I just pulled up the latest, and we are number 1 in the country for drug addiction. Indiana is. My opponent has been in for 10 years. We have failed for all 10 years. Now, let me tell you what we are second in. We are second in child abuse and neglect in the country. We are only second to Kentucky, that is number 1. That is my motivating factor.
And those are very, very strong motivating factors. Because
and I am persistent. I'm either going to fix it from drafting bills, or I'm going to be lobbying legislators. We have to make a change. If we get proper employment for our young adults, even though they're not college bound, that they can make a livable wage. Maybe that gives them enough incentive not to go out on the street and sell drugs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are absolutely right.
Those things are hand in hand.
Absolutely.
We can fix our economy. We can fix our drug problems. We can fix the overcrowded jails. But we need proper treatment. I received a flyer that all the constituents of my opponent would receive. And it comes from the state legislators. And it talked about all of her accomplishments. When I went through of all the training and education and all the different things, most of it focused on is going to college. But one of the items on her flyer talked about getting assistance for drug abuse, that you can call this hotline, you can get this assistance. I chose that one because in my own personal home, we were affected by this drugs. I am raising grandchildren because of this.
Wow, man.
I followed that line. I called it. I filled out all the information about it, and then I put the location where I'm looking for this help. It's right here in District 76 that my opponent just sent me a flyer on that this help is here. And it says that is not available down here.
What?
You have to go to Indianapolis or further north. Well, I'm going to get that assistance here.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
We're going to make it happen here.
That's what's up.
And for all of you parents out there that are struggling with an adult child because of drug abuse, help is coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Help is coming.
If we elect you, definitely help is coming. I want to bring Chris Chyung into this conversation, because I tell you what, he's already in the State House. Chris, how you been, my man?
I've been okay, Dana. I've been really busy. Just got up from Indy today, and I-65 was super backed up, so I was a little late getting on. But
no worries. I knew you'd be here.
Been on study committee and trying to make some good changes in the legislature, and just a lot of it, as you can guess, in a small minority like our caucus is stopping just really horrible legislation. So that's a lot of the workload that we have. And of course, I'm running in an extremely competitive
You
district.
are.
I was the closest legislative race in 2018 in the state. So we're just working hard to make sure our constituents know what we stand for and that we stand on the side of working people and not just the people who are rich enough to donate to political campaigns.
Absolutely. Well, I have to be honest. The first 2 years of watching you become a legislator, and then watching you assert yourself and the ideas and the plans that you have for your district has been amazing to watch. You never know, how much leadership a person possesses. I kind of figured you were going to be good. I really did. But I've watched you take heat from all sides, even your own. And you have that same amazing smile on your face when you were fighting for the people of your district. What has been your motivator to keep you positive and doing the right things even when things are not happening the way you want them to?
It's always just the people back in the district who give me a big hug or give me a big thank you and write me a nice email or note or leave me a nice message in my office when they say, look, what you did actually mattered. The fact that you went to bat for the bill, a local issue with the town of Griffith, that we were able to secure a great thing for that town locally. Whether it's trying to get some tax reform through and voting through some tax relief packages and things like that. And it's always about the values that we hold in this district. And that's really the thing that comes back to me is when I get that nice message and great constituents coming forward to me, it outweighs all of the bad, all of the heat that you were talking about, whether it's from Republicans or whether it's from other Democrats. All those things just wash away when you feel like, wow, in this job, you can actually accomplish things and get stuff done. But of course, we've got a lot more work to do, as Steve was mentioning.
Absolutely. And so after that first session, right? I mean, you're getting prepared, you're doing your thing. What kind of surprises did you have, and what did you not expect that happened? That some of the positive things that your takeaways from that first year, and then going into your second.
I think one of the big surprises was just how crazy some people are. Like I kind of knew Indiana. So I'm from Northwest Indiana. I'm right outside the Chicago metro area. It takes me an hour to get into downtown Chicago if I'm driving. And then you can go all the way down to southern Indiana, and it's like the deep south in parts. And then you've got Metro Indianapolis, which is its own geographic location, and then Fort Wayne is its own little bubble as well. So all of the diversity of opinions I expected to be pretty loud and pretty different, but I think I just underestimated just how different it would be. So getting to the area, getting to the point where we could negotiate with Republicans on certain issues and get the needle moving in the right direction and not completely in a horrible direction is something that took a lot of policy research. You have to look up things that you can see eye to eye on. And there are certain little pockets of policy where progressive Democrats and conservative Republicans do agree on, like privacy and regulating big tech, those kinds of things. And there's you just got to be a little bit smarter and work a little harder when you're working in a super minority.
Absolutely. And so have you been able to get that camaraderie between your fellow Democrats? I mean, what is that like for you?
Yeah, I've been working at it for sure, and it's also difficult because I think the Democratic Party right now is, in my opinion, it's a bigger tent than the Republican Party. Quite honestly,
Absolutely.
you've got conservative Republicans in our caucus who are very staunchly pro-life, very strict pro-gun, even more so than some of the moderate Republicans, and then you've got the extremely left, liberal, progressive part, and then everything in between. With the Republican Party, I don't really see it that much. I see them all kind of sticking to the same script, not really breaking party ranks, whereas our caucus is mostly just like vote your district, whatever you feel is necessary. You can make a reasoned argument back home, then that's what is right for the district. So that's why it's been extremely difficult, I think, to get that camaraderie moving forward. But I think we've had good success so far. I think one thing that's extremely telling to me is that I know a handful of Republican legislators who have told me they hope I win, and I think that's very kind. They'll never admit it publicly, but they've been extremely helpful and extremely warm in helping our campaign in the 2020 cycle, because like I said, we are probably going to be the closest legislative race in the state.
Well, it's nice to know that there are some Republicans that actually recognize intelligence and hard work versus, BS. You know what I'm saying? And so what were some of the pieces of legislation that you were able to either introduce, co-sponsor, co-author? Any successes? Because I know they don't call very many Democratic bills.
Yeah, very few. You can count them all on one hand, basically. Everything else they'll kill in committee. But for the most part, like I had mentioned, killing some of the bad legislation. I serve on the House Financial Institutions Committee. And in the first year, the payday loan industry, which is the short-term, high-interest rate loans that go into like triple-digit APRs, they tried to introduce a bill that would have given them vastly more latitude as to what kinds of loans they can bring to ordinary working Hoosiers. Some of the financial estimates showed us that by killing that bill, by all the work we did in committee on financial institutions and then on the floor and then behind the scenes, we were able to save Hoosiers like around $150 million in excess interest payments by stopping that bill. So in the grand scheme of things, you can kind of imagine when that kind of money is on the line, it makes sense for the industry to spend a couple million on lobbyists to chase you down in the hallway, or on lobbyists to give those corporate donations to some of my colleagues to basically buy them off to vote a certain way. But I was happy to be able to be in the opposition on that bill. And what I really saw was also this strange Bedfellows alliance where you had the veterans groups as well as the faith leaders saying that this was a bad bill for working people. It's bad for veterans because veterans don't want to pay triple-digit interest rates, and it's bad for the faith community because they consider this usury. So that was something that was really exciting, and we have more stuff coming down the pike. It's related to veterans and related to housing issues that I'm working on for next session as well.
Oh, can we have a sneak peek? Just
yeah, absolutely. Sneak? Yeah, anything for you, Dana. Right? No, so something that we worked on, and I serve as the ranking member on the local government committee, so I'm the top ranking Democrat on that committee, and I have a good relationship with the chairman, Denny Zent. So on that committee, we discussed legislation last year that would have ended the preemption of housing voucher, local housing voucher regulation. So basically right now, in the state of Indiana, it's legal for any landlord to say, even if you can pay the market rent, you are credit worthy, you have no criminal background history, but if you're on a voucher, we can deny you housing. And in the climate that we're in, with housing being so scarce, COVID adding to that, and the fact that affordable housing is something that even Republicans federally are starting to acknowledge is a big workforce issue, we're saying that shouldn't be allowed. If you can pay market rent, if your criminal background history checks out, if you're credit worthy, and you're just on a voucher, so that means the money just comes from the feds and goes straight to your account instead of going from your paycheck to your account. It shouldn't matter that a dollar is a dollar, and that should be accepted anywhere. So we're working specifically on an exemption for the Veterans Housing Voucher, the VASH program, which is basically Section 8 for veteran families. And we're really, really hoping that we can get some bipartisan support, especially that it's targeted towards veterans, and especially that we've had conversations with the Chamber of Commerce, who has recognized workforce housing as a big issue for employers statewide.
Well, certainly Republicans are going to want to do things to help veterans. I mean, my goodness. Aren't they? I mean, come on now. You can't kneel. You can't sit. If they're playing the national anthem, because you can't disrespect the veterans. Surely you want them and their families to have a roof over their head. Yes?
Right. I mean, it's a lot of symbolic stuff I found. I also serve on the Veterans Committee. I know I serve on a ton of different committees. I serve on 4. But it's a lot of symbolic stuff that we've passed in the last few years, like a new flag for the veterans and a new plate for the disabled veterans to update the license plate. And that's fine. There's value in that too. But I'm talking about putting serious money, serious legislation, serious policy, and putting our money where our mouth is when it comes to Indiana helping veterans. We can't just keep going on with the symbolic stuff. We have to make sure that this community is taken care of.
Well, and I'm going to go ahead and bring Stephen back in, but it seems like the symbolic things, excuse me, are what they want to do, because then you don't have to like really spend any money. You don't have to really deal with any social issues. You don't have to deal with, any of the stuff that's really harming Hoosiers. Let's dive into some of those big issues that are really hitting us. I know that you guys probably won't get any debates because why would they want to talk if they, talk about substance stuff? So right, let's hit the big one. And I opened the show up talking about a young teacher who has passed away. And then here in Indiana, we are demanding that our teachers go back to school, go into harm's way. But for the last several years, a decade or more, teachers and the teachers' unions have all been literally begging in red t-shirts to address the needs of our teachers. They were ignored, have been ignored, continue to be ignored, but they wanted them to go into harm's way. Stephen, I'm going to let you go first. Talk about what we need to be doing for public education and protecting our teachers.
Well, once again, the state legislator has dropped the ball on the teachers. They swapped a little testing around the kids, but there's no real pay for the teachers, and that's what I said in my introductory about the public school corporation is a training ground for voucher schools, and there's going to be two types of education if we don't straighten this out, and we need to do it now. But the real heartache about what just happened when the schools opened was the threat to the public school system. If you don't open, you're losing funding. There's not a public school in the state of Indiana that can afford to lose anything. They are underfunded at best while they're working. And for them to threat to cut their funding, and now you're putting the teachers at risk. There is no question those teachers at risk. I know of COVID cases in the Vanderburgh County School Corporation.
Ooh.
It started off right at the first week the school opens. It was in the paper. On the first week, they canceled 2 football teams, Wrights and Mater Dei, right here in the West Side, because of COVID. Now the grade schools are starting to. I've got a grandson in quarantine because a student was sitting next to him in a classroom.
Not even 6 feet away?
Positive.
Not even 6 feet?
This is the second week. And they're not telling. That's not public news. I know it because it's my grandson.
Were they socially distanced?
They were sitting close to this individual that was in the classroom.
Because of course, kids are not going to just naturally go and hug on their friends.
We don't know what classroom. We don't know what individual. But we don't know how infested the COVID is in the public schools because they're not publicizing where it is. No parent, if you give parents the truth, the information, they can protect their children. That's the way I look at it.
Well, but Chris, I mean, Governor Holcomb and the rest of the team, they're not interested in telling the truth about everything. And so open up, send your kids back, Senator Bryan.
I am as interested in getting schools back open, get the children in the brick and mortar buildings so that they're socializing with their friends. Education, socializing is such a high priority or a high part of an education. It all goes hand in hand as much as the books and the math. But the socializing, they need that. If it wasn't for the social media, our children would have been lost over the summer.
Jump in there, Chris.
Well, locally, I think, Steve. I mean, locally, I've been going to some of our Lake Central School Corporation school board meetings, and the frustration that I hear that the burden has been entirely put on the local level. I mean, our local school board and our superintendent were saying, we were asking the State Department of Health to draw us a line, draw a red line saying that if we're at this level of positivity rate or whatever, death rate, whatever it may be, be. Does that mean we can open in person, or does that mean we should go all virtual, or does that mean we should do something in between? And the frustration that my superintendent had was that the State Department of Health and the governor's administration were unwilling to draw that line and be the decision makers because they were scared of the political consequences and the blowback that they would get. So it's been extremely disheartening to see the taxing on the local level. I mean, federally, they're doing nothing. So the state level has stepped in. And then at the local level, that's where the local heroes have been bearing the brunt of this virus.
Absolutely. And it's so frustrating because everybody is like longing for some real leadership. I mean,
leadership.
Yeah, I mean, it's not coming from anywhere. And those that are pretending to be leaders are the loudest ones. And I'm sorry, Governor Holcomb, people are talking about he's done a great job. No, he's not. I'm sorry. He has not made any sound decisions since this thing has started. Not one clear decision has he made in reference to keeping us safe and protecting our education system. Is like, that should be easy.
If you notice, Holcomb makes a decision right after the president makes a comment about what he wants to do, and then that's Holcomb's decision.
Or Vice President Pence comes in and changes Governor Holcomb's mind, and then that's
we know what's wagging the dog.
Man, look. And it's not just, you were just mentioning how your opponent down there in 76 was saying that $15 is not enough for people who don't have a college degree, but the cost of living keeps going up. I didn't see where the cost of living was staying the same for those people without college degrees.
These were our frontline workers during this pandemic. The people that are out there making the $7.50 and $8-9 an hour are the ones that have been stocking our grocery shelves and keeping the garbage picked up and doing all the miscellaneous work and cleaning the schools and getting them ready to open, and the public buildings so they can open. These are the workers that's really on the front line, but they can't afford to give them $15 an hour.
Chris, I know. I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. The pandemic has exposed the fact that hedge fund managers and Wall Streeters and CEOs are not essential to running the country. It's these people who are the nurses, who are the teachers, who are first responders and law enforcement, who are working to keep the government functioning and making sure we don't have total anarchy in the streets. I mean, that's who really matters. And the fact, and I'm glad you brought up the fact about the minimum wage in the state of Indiana, because at $7.25 an hour, we're pegged to the federal level, and it's insane. It hasn't been updated in more than a decade, and the cost of living has skyrocketed since then. And a bill I offered at the beginning of my first term would have removed this current state preemption. It wasn't even a bill to raise the wage from $7.25 to $9 or anything like that. I thought I was being bipartisan. I thought I was being reasonable. But really, the bill was to make it so that if any county or any local government wanted to make their own minimum wage floor for the businesses located in their own district, and that whole local control Republican argument, then they would be able to do that. I mean, I represent Lake County, and it's one of the most expensive counties to live in. Marion County, Hamilton County. It's not a cheap place to live because we're based in the Chicago metro area. So if we believe that our businesses can afford to pay more, and that it's a local decision that needs to be made, I was 100% supportive of that. But of course, the Chamber of Commerce folks and then the establishment folks were all of a sudden saying local control doesn't make sense here. We have to shut this down because it's going to cost corporations a little bit of money to pay their workers a livable wage.
I mean, we're subsidizing those corporations, and they've been after that local control thing for a long time. When they took over the Gary schools, they took over the Muncie schools, they eliminated some council seats down here in Indianapolis. They only believe in local control when it suits their needs, and that's the hypocrisy of the GOP, which I recognize that not every Democrat is perfect, right? We can all three of us can agree.
Besides yourself, correct?
Oh my God. No. Hey, let me tell you something. If y'all knew how pissed off I've been all day, And I was like, how am I supposed to pull some positive energy out of this bad attitude I got today? I'm telling you, this is a miracle worker. The divine is looking out and sprinkling a whole bunch of stuff on me. But the thing is like we recognize that some of us ain't perfect, and we're not in lockstep. They will stay in lockstep, like you were saying, with the crazy and the hypocrisy of it all, for the sake of, you know, the Borg. I mean, it's I know it's Star Trek and that ain't what we talk, but it's like the Borg. You know, resistance is futile, and Republicans just aren't able to think for themselves, and they want to. And Republicans of color, especially Black Republicans, they want to tell us that we on the plantation. They want to tell us we're on the plantation. The hypocrisy of it all. All right, I want to go to something else that is important to education, because it speaks to how we address the current situation. And Kristen, I'm gonna start with you. Our infrastructure. We've got so many infrastructure needs, and not just roads and bridges. I'm talking waterways, wastewater, clean water, utilities, and the fact that we are not treating high-speed internet like a utility. You mentioned that you've been working on some things. Could you tell us what you're thinking about that and what you've been working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad you brought up high-speed internet, because rural broadband is actually one of those issues that I think a lot of Democrats and rural Republicans are starting to understand, that this is an essential service, an essential utility. It's not optional like it was 10 years ago to have an internet connection in your house in order to pay your bills, in order to go to school, especially in a pandemic. Internet connectivity and high-speed internet connectivity is more important than ever. So one issue a niche issue that I'm actually looking into is to allow satellite internet providers to access the state's current rural broadband fund. We've been looking at the research behind some of these folks who provide satellite services, whether it's SpaceX's Starlink program or OneWeb is another vendor that does this. And if Republicans like innovation and if they like free market ideas, I'm hoping that they'll like the bill that I'm planning to introduce, because we don't just want to lock up the pipes of the internet to Comcast and AT&T or the big cable giants and just a few companies. We want to put fiber in there, put satellites in there. Yeah, make a free market solution.
Talk about that. You're down there in Posey County, where it's a crazy rural down there. Not crazy rural. I mean, I like it. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of rural area down there. Talk about what's going on and how students and
on the first part of what I talked about is finding some good paying jobs where workers can earn a living and raise their kids and possibly help get them off of the drugs and the problems that we have for the lower income families here. Our infrastructure, and I was making a note about it as you were speaking. Evansville, we still have combination sewers that run stormwater and sewage water through the treatment plant. When we have a storm, they open the lines and flood the Ohio River with it. It's still happening today.
They put sewage in the Ohio
River. We need
River?
Infrastructure improvements right here. Now, another thing. 20 years ago, I would have never dreamed we would have the traffic on our Lloyd Expressway. It's a state highway going from east to west. Mm-hmm. But from Pigeon Creek, that's a creek, popular creek here in my area. Everybody that's on the line knows what I'm talking about, except for when you get when you get east of Pigeon Creek, then they don't know what's happening. No, but we have a college that was built out there, and then all of a sudden, this whole area along the side of this state highway, state highway, with stoplights, is bumper-to-bumper traffic on the rush hours. We have more accidents every day, serious injuries and deaths regularly. Now, my opponent's been in office for 10 years. they have put patches on these roads that have never came down to keep up with the traffic flow. Now, I have seen what happened. Remember, I told you I'm in the construction industry from the laborers union, and I know the highways that goes on around Indianapolis. I know what's going on around Lafayette. I know what just happened in Kokomo, all the way up to South Bend on 31. We have to get something in a 5-mile corridor right here in southern Indiana to elevate Lloyd Expressway. Put service roads on each side of it. Put exit and entry ramps. And we have to take care of our farmers down here too, and we have to have pass-unders so that they can get their farm equipment from one side of the field to the other and keep them off the highways.
Hello? I mean, doesn't that just seems to make sense? But
we've got serious work here. We need somebody serious about doing it. Now, I will say my opponent is from Valparaiso, and she's making sure that that area up there is getting well taken care of. But we need a little bit of our tax dollars spent down here.
Now, see, I got an issue with that. I mean, don't get me wrong. When you're an elected official in our state house, it is your responsibility to take care of the entire state, because when you vote on things, they're going to impact all 92 counties. But you're trying to tell me that she's supposed to be representing the folks in Southwest Indiana, but she's voting on things for people in Northwest Indiana.
You guys are from the area I'm talking about. Have you seen any highways around the Lafayette area in the last 4 years? Have you seen any highways around Kokomo, Indiana? Was there a big college around Kokomo? I think there's a Chrysler plant.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a college. We got college children that are getting seriously injured right here because there is no good traffic program here for them.
Well, I mean, I always try to, I know I won't try not to focus so much on roads and bridges, but you just broke it down like, bam. All right, yeah. I gotta, I try to get as many subjects in. Like I said, you guys don't get to have debate, right. So I want to make sure I get as many subjects in. Who led last time? Chris, did you lead last time? Yeah, you did. All right, Stephen, this one's for you.
Okay.
The other thing that, well, for both of you, but we're gonna start with you. The other thing that this virus has definitely shed a light on is the fact that we have inadequate and unaffordable health care in many of our communities. I am very fortunate. I live in Indianapolis that I can get to a hospital. I can get to 10 hospitals in a matter of no time at all. Whether or not I can afford them, we'll talk about that later. But I can at least get there. Talk about our needs to have health facilities. Don't have to be hospitals, but health facilities, adequate health facilities in a lot of our rural counties. We have over, 50 counties without health care?
Yes. Yeah. And we do. Fortunately, we have in the Evansville and Warwick County, and with the Posey County area, they kind of depend on the Evansville area for their hospital. Okay. Now, they do have mech centers and those up in the area that they can at least get quick treatment, until they can move them to a larger hospital. So we do need we do need to make improvements on how quick we can get seriously injured people to the hospital or people that are just sick with the COVID. And we got to make sure that they've got the health care to take care of that. And I've got a note about health care, what our legislators do, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you may be sitting on some of these boards, and I'm not here to hurt anybody, but it's just some things I heard. Was there funding cut in health care for the state of Indiana just while this COVID's been going on?
Yeah, so Steve, so in the last few budgets, public health funding for the state of Indiana, so the Indiana State Department of Health, millions have been cut from at least the last 3 budgets. And I mean, in the face of a viral pandemic, that makes no sense. It's crazy. I mean,
we're a minority. We are a minority there.
We have to make change.
I would like to ask one more quick thing here. I've been talking loud and I shout. I'm a little hard hearing, so
you ain't
I
talking
speak
no
so I
louder
can
than
hear
me.
myself. So while I'm talking, and I know, Dan, I know you don't mind, but Chris over here, he's being so quiet and polite when he speaks, but I'm used to talking over a jackhammer. But in my life experiences, in my career experiences, I am used to working between labor and management and resolving problems. Part of my career was I was to walk up to a construction company owner and tell them that you need to come and work with us or let us refer you workers, and you pay them $20, $25, $30 an hour instead of $7.50 to $15 an hour, and it's going to be better for you. So I start off with a conversation already, not wanting to talk to me. So, but I am used to working between parties, and we start from both sides where we're both in two different orbits, and then we bring it down to something that both parties can work together on, and then we see that the given and taken, that they're really not giving that much to allow the workers to be able to just have a affordable living and health care and a pension that they can retire in dignity. And they're seeing that they're prospering because of it. So we need Democrats, Republicans, and independents working together, having serious conversation, what is best for our communities.
So I want to go back to Chris. I want to go back to Chris because he was making a point about that funding cut, and I need to hear about that so I can moan and groan about it on the next few shows.
If you take a look at the last three budgets, and we actually took a look because my opponent was in for the last three terms before I was elected, every single budget had a giant cut for Indiana State Department of Health and public health funding. And I mean, it could not come at a worse, more horrible time for Hoosiers when, in the face of a viral pandemic, we need all the resources we can. I mean, now that the federal government has basically abandoned the states to find their own PPE, find their own testing kits, find their own cures for the most part. I mean, what we're trying to do is make sure that our State Department of Health is resourced. And I'm so glad that at one of the earlier press conferences, when regular press conferences about COVID-19 updates, that one of the journalists asked, well, what do you think about public health funding? And he said that he supports increasing it for the first time in several years. And we're going to hold him to that in the next session. And I think that as House Democrats, we were very adamant about making sure that that funding stayed in place. So I was proud to cast a no vote against those budgets that were horrible for public health. And on that note, I do want to talk about and just give a shout out because when we were in the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was really difficult to find a testing site in Lake County, Indiana. There were a couple in Porter that you could go to and get a free Optum site, and then there were a couple private providers who were doing their own tests that you could pay to a doctor's visit through your insurance to go get the test. But Representative Harris from East Chicago, has consistently put up the pressure to make sure that the Indiana State Department of Health put COVID testing sites in northern Lake County. And I'm pleased that he was able to be successful because now we're able to get tests finally in our corner of the state. And protecting public health is going to be such an important issue because we don't know when a vaccine is coming. We don't know how many more tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people could potentially die from this pandemic. And like you said at the beginning, the lack of the leadership has been so disheartening. And I hope that next year we have a much more health-focused and public health-focused budget for the state of Indiana.
I love it. And one of the great things, one of the things I love about doing this show, and then the COVID making me become more tech savvy with it, is that I get to talk to every candidate from all corners of our state. And the fact that, I have one from Evansville and one from Lake County, I know often you guys feel a little left out. Y'all in the wrong time zone. That's the first problem. Yeah,
we're in the same time zone.
Right.
That's right.
But y'all in the wrong time zone. Y'all supposed to be in the Eastern time zone. No, I'm teasing.
Southwest Indiana, Northwest Indiana. Those are the ones that knows what's going on.
But I also know that there is often a feeling that these specific areas of our state don't feel the love from Central Indiana, and more specifically Indianapolis and the State House. And so I want you guys, because we only have a few more minutes, and I want to make sure I get these in. Chris, start with you. What are some things that the rest of us need to be aware of that's going on in Lake County that need to be addressed at that State House?
Well, one of the initiatives related to health and Lake County actually is the children's Medicaid reimbursal. So one of the other issues with healthcare in Indiana is that our Medicaid doesn't reimburse enough to make sure that EMTs are taken care of, that some of the other providers of ambulatory surgical centers, you name it, all these other medical care providers are being reimbursed at a rate, and that shuts down rural hospitals in the long run. So here in Indiana, in Northwest Indiana, instead of having Medicaid reimburse only if you take your kid to Riley in Indianapolis, 2.5 hours and one time zone away, instead, we'd really love if we can get the funding to reimburse some of the Chicago area children's hospitals just for children's Medicaid to start, because they've invested in our community. The University of Chicago and Lurie and Comer Children's Hospitals have invested millions of dollars to provide care for members of our community. But if Medicaid doesn't reimburse, then they're the ones basically providing a free service. And then the alternative is even worse, to have to drag your kid down 5 hours round trip to Indianapolis if they're in need of dire care. So that's something that we'll really focus on in the next session as well.
I love that one. Look at you caring about the future. Stephen, what's going on down in the Vandenberg area that we need to worry about, and that you're going to take, one of the other things you're going to take to the State House?
The COVID, the school problems that we've already discussed. I think we need a vaccine. We need the
not too
leaders
quickly,
down
though.
here. We need leaders down here that will step up and put consequences behind not masking up and social distancing. We're making people sick, and people are dying down here as a result of that.
Man, that is scary. That is scary stuff. All right. So, Stephen, tell the people where they can find you.
I said this once before in one of my closing remarks. I have more heart than my opponent. I care about Southwest Indiana. I care about the residents down here. And I can work with the businesses and the schools, and we can create opportunities for some of our areas that are struggling with low wages and the drug problems and the child abuse. We can put programs in place that we won't be rated number 1 and number 2 for child abuse and drug abuse. We can improve in these areas right here. And it's affecting a lot of families down here, and really across the state. This is not just a 1 county or 2 county thing. This is statewide. But we really need to make a difference on that. I know how to create opportunities. I know how to train young adults and put them in construction industry, get them into careers, whether it's industrial, maintenance, or any of these things. I know how to do these things. I've worked in recruiting and training and negotiating for the last 25 years, and the companies that I have worked with, they know what I'm talking about, because we are working together and making things happen, and they are just as concerned as of their employees as I am for the employees. But we can do this not only for union members, but we can do this for all of Indiana workers.
So give us that new website that you're happy about.
My new website opened up this afternoon. It is www.neighborsforstevefolz.com.
All right. Do you have any fundraisers You have any fundraisers or any phone banking coming up?
Let me show you what I've been doing since the quarantine has started. I've been passing out little goodie bags.
All right,
okay?
I love it.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm not doing any organized gatherings because there was a yard sale in Cynthiana right down the street from us. And within 3 days, there was already 5 to 7 people that had contracted COVID, and then it got on up into the teens. So we're not doing any social gatherings, but you might see me walking into a grocery store. You might see me walking into a beauty shop, a nail salon. This is hand sanitizer. There we go. And we've got face masks.
Excellent. Okay, well, but you guys should still consider doing some phone banking and trying to maybe even do some.
We're doing text messaging and phone banking.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. That is coming up. Absentee voting is going to start next week. We're going to start our text messaging. We plan on sending out 40,000 text messages. We want to make sure everybody is registered, is ready to vote and remembers to vote and know the locations to vote.
All right. All right, Chris, tell the people where they can find you.
So my website is votechung.com, votechyung.com. We're having a lot of activities from donating online to no-knock canvassing, and we just drop the lid in people's doors and stuff like that, or talk to them from a distance if they want to talk to us. And then we're also, of course, doing phone banking and text messaging as well. So please email us at votechung@gmail.com if you'd like to learn more, or visit my website and you can throw us a little donation so we can help fight the deep corporate pockets of my opponent and make sure that we put people first and not the big multinational corporations. So we want to make sure that we have a good Indiana that works for people. And Steve, thank you for running. I should have said that from the beginning. We need more building trades folks like you and building trades voices at the table.
But before you
together, we can make a difference.
Absolutely. And Chris, I let you go a whole hour without actually asking this. So tell us what it's like to be a history maker.
Oh gosh, I don't consider myself a history maker. I'm just another little old me and just trying to do my job. I mean, we can all make history is the reality. It doesn't belong to one person just because of my race or ethnicity or my age or anything like that. We've all got it in us, and it's all incumbent upon us in 2020 because it's going to be a psychotic next 55 days or whatever it is. It's going to be absolutely crazy. It's going to be absolutely crazy if Trump declares that he wins and then he actually doesn't and he refuses to leave or something like that. I mean, you never know. I don't hold anything out of the realm of possibility at this point. So it's incumbent on all of us to make history.
Okay, well, he's a history maker. Y'all know he is. The first Asian American elected to our state house because he's, you know what, as Democrats, we want everybody. Remember when the conventions were going on? One was a bowl of vanilla ice cream, and we like vanilla ice cream. It's wonderful. I even like the vanilla bean. It's so amazing. But a sundae with some sprinkles and some fudge and caramel, your mouth just waters. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on Turn Left. I appreciate you guys. Keep running. Keep doing everything that you're doing in the central time zone and wrong time zone. And my parting shot tonight is this. We have energy on our side. We have momentum on our side. We have people who are looking out for other humans more than anything else on our side. We have people that would not have misled, lied, misinterpreted, and pretended like our lives weren't at risk. We have people that truly believe that, like Chris was just saying, our power is in our unity and in our numbers, and we have the capability of doing better, and we must do better. Like I said, I get frustrated. Today was one of those days I was like, I cannot believe what is happening to all of us. But if we all buckle down and do what we're supposed to do, make sure we're registered to vote and cast that vote, make a plan to vote, understand who is on the ballot, know who these people are, Find out what they stand for. Listen to Turn Left, it'll help you out. But there's so much that we can do. It's not just about what's happening in D.C. because we have a governor and a lieutenant governor who has woefully neglected the citizens of the state of Indiana, but not putting our lives first and listening to what those people who have been lying to us, putting what they say first. We have state senators, we have representatives, and we have Indiana senators who are threatening and telling us that they're gaslighting us. And telling us that it's all political, wearing a mask is political, the virus is a hoax, and to take a risk. Sorry, I don't want Hoosiers to take a risk, not with their health and not with their families. Because we can't grow Indiana and move it forward if we're dead. We can't move it forward if we're number one, as Stephen was telling us, in addictions, and beating our kids. We can't attract businesses here if they know that their quality of life is not going to be that good. But these are the aspects of our Hoosier elected Republicans. That's all they think about. They just want the job here. They don't care how much the job pays. They don't care if they're offering insurance. They don't care if they're offering quality, affordable health care. They just want a job, and they want to check it off their list that there was a job that was brought here. Whether or not somebody can afford to actually put their kid in child daycare and go to the job. Let's not lose focus on our 92 counties. There's a lot of noise at the top of the ticket, and I get it. But we have Dr. Woody Myers that's running. We have the amazing and astonishing and one of my heroines, Linda Lawson, running as lieutenant governor. We have Jonathan Winesapple, who is running for attorney general. We have a full slate of loving, caring, thoughtful, and smart Democrats who want to represent us all over the state. So when you get down like I did today, just remind yourself there's amazing Democrats everywhere. And we've already had 2 years of the amazing Chris Chung. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. Indiana's own Dana Black. Thank you so much for joining in. Fellas, thank you for joining me. We will catch you next week. As I say, we got candidates every week until Election Day. I'll holler at y'all next week. Peace.